Hello my dear students, good morning, welcome to my channel. This morning I would like to share to you one of the significant care and management practices in crop production, which is fertilizing crops. At the end of this video, you will be able to uh, gain knowledge and skills on how you apply fertilizers to the crops. So you please watch this video from the very beginning until the end.
Before I will proceed to how you will apply fertilizer, I would like first to give you information on the nature of fertilizer. Fertilizer is any organic or inorganic material or natural or synthetic which is added to the soil to supply certain elements essential to growth and development of the plant. What are these elements? These are nutrients needed by plants for its nourishment or growth and development. And in the absence of these nutrients, the plants cannot perform its function in totality. Because plants are like human being, it need food containing different nutrients required for nourishment. And there are two categories of nutrient elements. The macronutrient elements and the micronutrient elements. Talking about macronutrient elements, these are elements needed by plants in relatively large amount. Example of which are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. And out of these 5 macronutrient elements, 3 are very significant for plant growth. We have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Nitrogen is responsible generally in the green in the promotion of the green color of the leaves, and in the absence of nitrogen in the soil, plants will not produce green leaves because there will be no nitrogen. Then we have also phosphorus, which is responsible generally in the promotion of vegetative growth. That's the reason why our plants are strong, go upright because of phosphorus. That's the responsibility of phosphorus to the plants. And the potassium is generally responsible in the production of starch, paving the way for the fruiting and flowering of certain plants. And supporting these three major elements are calcium and magnesium. They are also performing functions in support to the different nutrient elements, which are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And the second is micronutrient elements. These are elements needed by plants in relatively large amount. And example of these macronutrient elements are boron, chlorine, manganese, iron, zinc, copper, and molybdenum, and other micronutrient elements which I did not include. There are other micronutrient elements needed also by plants, but in a small amount. All right. Fertilizer can be of two forms: the organic fertilizers and the inorganic fertilizers. Inorganic fertilizers are fertilizers of natural origin. Example, human and material excreta and crop residues. So I included here human waste and urine. And urine of animals can also be considered as organic fertilizer. Then we have animal manure and example is chicken dung. And insofar as the nutrient element analysis composition of the chicken dung is concerned, it has 3.45% nitrogen, 1.11% phosphorus, and 0.03% potassium. In the case of guano, guano is actually excreta of bat. 6.5% nitrogen, 14.5% phosphorus, and 1.75 potassium. In case of hog manure and cow manure, they have low percentage composition of NPK. Then we have earthworm, vermicast, and vermicompost. This is common today. You can buy this from agricultural suppliers or from perhaps office of the Department of Agriculture or offices. Then we have also asula, ipil-ipil leaves, crop residues. These crop residues, these are remnants after harvesting. For example, rice straws, leaves of other crops after harvest. Then there are also organic liquid fertilizers, which you can buy this from agricultural suppliers. Okay. So these are the organic fertilizers. Then inorganic fertilizers, these fertilizers are synthetic and chemically manufactured, solid and liquid fertilizers. And it is classified according to single element fertilizer, incomplete fertilizer, and complete fertilizer. Now, let's take the first one. Single element fertilizer. This is a fertilizer containing one macronutrient element. Example, we have urea. Urea has a composition of 46% nitrogen, 0% phosphorus, and 0% potassium. In case of ammonium nitrate, we have 33% nitrogen, 0 for phosphorus, and 0 for potassium. Triple superphosphate, 0 for nitrogen, but 46% phosphorus and 0% nitrogen. More yet of potash, this is wrong. This is it. 0% nitrogen, 0% phosphorus, and 60% potassium. Okay? So that's the reason why this urea, ammonium nitrate, triple superphosphate, muriate of potash are considered as single element fertilizer because it only contains one macronutrient element. We have, as I mentioned, this one, urea, ammonium nitrate, and so on, and muriate of potash. Okay, the second one is incomplete fertilizer. Incomplete fertilizer, this is a fertilizer lacking one macronutrient element. Example of this category are monoammonium phosphate, which constitute 11% nitrogen, 48% phosphorus, and 0% potassium. For potassium phosphate, we have 0% nitrogen, 52% phosphorus, and 45% potassium. And for potassium nitrate, 13% nitrogen, 0% phosphorus, and 37 to 44% potassium. You might notice that we have only two macronutrient elements present in a particular fertilizer, and that is the reason why we are considering it as incomplete fertilizer, meaning lacking one macronutrient element. Then the third one is complete fertilizer. All the macronutrient elements, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are present. So example, you can buy in the market or agricultural suppliers 14-14-14. We called it as triple 14. Then 12-12-12, meaning there are 12, there's 12% nitrogen, 12% phosphorus, and 12% potassium. Triple 12. This one, 14% nitrogen, 24% phosphorus, and 12% potassium. Then similar is true also to this example. In other words, in complete fertilizers, there are variations in the composition of the NPK. But what's important here is they are complete, meaning all the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are present in a particular complete fertilizer. So these are the three category classifications of inorganic fertilizer. Let's move now to the methods of applying fertilizers. Number one is the broadcasting method, which consists of two sub method, the basal application, then the top dressing. What spells the difference between basal application and top dressing? Just take a look on this particular picture. When you apply the fertilizer material, whether it's organic and inorganic, before planting, you are doing the basal application. And when you apply the fertilizer while the plants are already growing, for instance, during its vegetative stage, you are applying fertilizer through this method, top dressing. But they are considered as also broadcasting. Okay. Then we have placement. Under this method, we have sub-method, side dressing. Okay. In side dressing, granting that these are plant, you need, or this one, you need to pass a plow here, moving there, then go back. Then the next thing that a farmer do is to place fertilizer in the furrow. Then, so since there are two furrows in the rows of plants, this is what we call as side dressing. Common in vegetable production. Then deep placement. Sometimes this method is applied in rice production, or even in vegetable production, particularly large scale. They are placing the fertilizer in deeper, as not just 2 to 3 centimeters, and for purposes of shall we say, making large plants to be fertilized. Then we have also, so meaning you are placing fertilizer deeply, and of course there are some cases wherein farmers use gadgets, or sometimes they bury it in the soil. So that's the placement. Then we have mud ball application. Mud ball application is a method of applying fertilizer wherein there will be balls of mud like this one. Then the fertilizer material, for instance, urea, complete fertilizer, are placed inside the ball of mud. Then upon doing such, this ball will be ball of mud will be placed in the field. So for instance, here you have to place the ball of mud here, in this portion, this one. These are placed in the different parts of the field. Very much common in rice production. But of course, the effect of this fertilizer method cannot be noticed, and of course it will take how many days for the roots of the plants or rice to absorb. Unlike when you do the broadcasting, it would be very easy for the plants to absorb the nutrients present in a particular fertilizer. Then localized placement, sometimes this is what we call as localized placement. You are placing the fertilizer materials um, around the the plant, sometimes 2 to 3 centimeters deep, and of course since you are aware on the tip of the plant, the safest way in placing the fertilizer is just look at the tip of the leaves of the plant. Then that's the level where you will place the fertilizer. For instance, this is the tip of the plant, you have to place this one. But there are other farmers where they place the fertilizer somewhere here. You must be careful also of applying the fertilizers near the plants, because it might cause burning to the plant. Okay, so this is localized placement, or when you apply it around the plant, you are doing the localized placement. Sometimes they term it as a band application, parang rubber band ba. Then we have foliar application. This is common in liquid fertilizer, where the liquid fertilizer are sprayed to the leaves of the plant. And there are also, yeah, it's sprayed to the leaves of the plant. And of course, there are some fertilizers which are solid in form, but it will be dissolved in water and then sprayed to the leaves of plants. And there are also ready-made liquid fertilizer. Just buy, then you will use by certain ratio of the liquid fertilizer and of course the water. Then you have to mix it with water. Okay. All right. In terms of time of applying fertilizers, if possible, apply organic fertilizer before planting. That's basal application, right? Sometimes we apply chicken dung, we apply hog manure, we apply guano. That's the best way to apply fertilizer. Sometimes 1 week before planting. Why 1 week? In order for the fertilizer to be converted into chemical in form which is absorbable by the roots of the plant. Because when you will plant directly after applying fertilizer, there might be deficiency symptoms which might occur on the newly planted crops or seedlings. And sometimes, if the organic fertilizer is still fresh, like chicken dung or hog manure, and when you plant the seedlings or transfer the seedlings or transplant the seedlings, sometimes it cause mm, burning burning uh, burning effect. So it's advisable that you have to count more or less days, 5 days, 7 days before you will transfer the plants in the field. Next, apply fertilizer during its vegetative stage. So it's during the vegetative stage, which require fertilizer. So we need to apply it to the field or plant. And in most cases, particularly rice production and vegetable production, we apply fertilizer perhaps 3 weeks, 4 weeks after transplanting. However, if you think that the soil has plenty of nutrient element, I think there's no need to apply fertilizer. That's the reason why we recommend to farmers to apply to apply organic fertilizer before transplanting, so that application of inorganic fertilizer like urea, complete fertilizer, can be avoided because it can alter the structure of the soil, the texture of the soil. Okay, then we have the last one is apply fertilizer before flowering. First, vegetative stage, and then before flowering, because if you will apply this to the plant during its fruiting stage, it might not anymore be used. But there are some cases when farmers also apply fertilizer during its full or fruit, development of fruits, because they also the plants also need the nutrients, particularly this potassium. So in terms of the kind of fertilizer applied, for vegetable production, for leafy vegetables, we mostly apply nitrogenous fertilizer, or for instance urea. But for other vegetables, uh, we apply complete fertilizer from the seedling stage, vegetative, until the fruiting stage. For instance, tomato, eggplant, and other, except of course vegetable crops. And with regards to the application of fertilizer in a day, you can apply fertilizer um, any time of the day. But of course, why punish yourself or yourself applying fertilizer during noon time? I think for uh, practical reason, you need to apply fertilizer early in the morning and late in the afternoon. However, there should be a consideration on the weather condition. If the weather condition is bad, it's raining, do not apply fertilizer because it might be washed away. Except of course in rice production, you can apply fertilizer through top dressing uh, in when it is rainy. Okay, so these are all about for fertilizer application, and I would say thank you.